Hey, this is Tom from MVP Chess. Welcome back to my series on Bobby Fischer's seminal work, My 60 Memorable Games. In this video, we'll be analyzing game number 50 that Fischer played versus Ojar Celle in an exhibition tour in 1964. Fischer destroys this amateur in the Evans Gambit. You're not going to want to miss it. Before we jump in, don't forget, smash that subscribe button and join Team MVP. Thank you for your support. So fresh off his 11-0 victory in the U.S. Chess Championship, Fischer went on an exhibition tour, victory lap, if you will. This game versus Ojar Celle was played in 1964 at Davis College in California, now known as UC Davis. So, as is customary in a simultaneous exhibition, Fischer had the white pieces, and he opened with e4, best by test, of course. And we have an Italian on the board. Celle plays bishop c5, and Fischer goes for the Evans Gambit b4. We saw Fischer play this line earlier in the series versus Ruben Fine in a casual blitz game. And White's idea, of course, is to gain time on this bishop in order to prepare the central advance d4. So White sacrificing a pawn for rapid development and control of the center. Bishop a5 is the main line, but Celle decides to drop the bishop back to e7, which is a really solid way to play as long as the follow-up is correct. So Fischer, of course, plays d4, and Celle here goes wrong. He plays d6, trying to reinforce this central pawn on e5. It's actually much better to try to give back the pawn here, okay? So knight a5 would be a good move. And there are really two main variations here. If White were to capture on e5 with the knight, we'd have this series of captures, and Black equalizes with pawn to d5, great move, blowing up White's center. The other option for White is to retreat the bishop to d3. Then it's a good idea to play d6. And we'd likely get this position on the board where White's got these two weak pawns on the queen side. Material is even, but White doesn't have the typical initiative that Evans Gambit players are looking for. So this is a really good, solid way to play for Black if you're looking for a line against the Evans Gambit. But we have d6. So Fischer opens up the center quickly and plays queen h5. So out of nowhere, Fischer grabs the initiative, threatening to take on f7 with devastation. Black forced to play g6 in this position, and Fischer grabs the pawn on e5, hitting the rook in the corner. Black blocks, and Fischer makes a really nice move in this position. Okay, castling might seem normal here, seems like a good idea, but that lets Black off the hook. The king would be able to get out of the center of the board. Before he secures his king, Fischer plays bishop a3. Boom, great move, pinning this bishop and really disrupting Black's coordination. Now the king can't castle. In fact, the king can't even get out of the center of the board, because if in this position Black were to try to play king f8, Fischer can exploit this pin of the dark square bishop by playing queen takes f6, and that's game over. So Celle decided to play rook f8 here, and Fischer castles. So let's take stock out of the opening. Material is even, but this game is all about the imbalance of the king's safety. Look at the relative safety of the kings. Fischer's king is safe as houses. Meanwhile, Black's king is stuck in the center of the board. So Fischer should look to play really dynamic, energetic chess, open lines, and try to checkmate the Black king, and that's exactly what he does. After knight g4, Celle attacks Fischer's queen. He simply retreats it. We have an exchange on a3, and then queen e7. Now, Fischer comes up with a really, really enterprising idea in this position. Bishop b5 check. And his whole idea is to provoke the move c6, specifically to weaken the d6 square. Okay, so Fischer's idea is on full display after knight c4. Great move. He's willing to give up the bishop on b5 to establish an octopus knight on d6. Really, really great idea by Fischer. So, for example, this wasn't the game continuation, but if white were to capture the bishop, knight d6, king d7, rook a1, king c6, these are only moves for black to stay in the game. And pawn to c4, white would have a great initiative in this position. Look at this king just floundering around on c6. Of course, Fischer would be down a piece in this position, but I would imagine a human would not be able to hold this position with the king on c6. So that's why Celle opted not to take the bishop. Instead, he played queen e6. And Fischer just starts building up. Rook a1, okay? He doesn't want to get cold feet now and retreat this bishop, okay? He just slowly builds up his position. And Celle now decides to grab. Fischer plays queen c7. He could have also started with knight e6, but queen c7 is a really annoying move to deal with. The queen hits the 7th rank, and black's king is feeling very insecure right now. Celle plays bishop d7, trying to complete development, trying to close the 7th rank, but Fischer plays knight d6. Boom! Octopus knight on the board. And if you get a knight on the 6th rank with white, very often this piece can be worth more than a rook. So Fischer not only playing for the tack from positional standpoint, this sacrifice on b5 I think was totally sound to establish this absolutely dominant piece. And look at these rooks. Okay, you could say Fischer is down a piece right now, but these rooks aren't even in the game. How are you going to get the rook on f8 into play at all? Okay, it's almost like Fischer's playing up material here. So we have king e7 forced, and I will turn it over to you in this position. White to play. Fischer's main objective in this position is to open lines, okay? Even at the sacrifice of more material. He's got to throw more wood on the fire. Open up lines, diagonals, files, anything he can to get at this black king. Because right now, it's feeling pretty secure. So pause your videos. What sacrifice did Fischer come up with in this position to open up key lines towards the enemy king? Have a think. So congratulations if you found Fischer's awesome sacrifice in this position. Knight f5. Boom. Great move. And we'll see the justification after Celle grabs. We have e takes, gaining time on the queen. It's all about opening this e file, okay? This pawn on e4 was actually getting in the way of Fischer's attack, so he found a really creative way to actually remove it from the f file. Knight f5. Congratulations if you found that move. We have rook c8 here, trying to attack the queen and force her out of black's position, but just like Morphy, and this game really does remind me of a game of Morphy. This has a quality of the opera game, just in terms of Fischer's energetic play and great initiative. He doesn't retreat the queen. He plays rook d7. Boom. Great move. And after queen takes f6, deflecting the knight, knight takes f6, and rook e1, black is done for. So Fischer's strategy comes to fruition. This e-pawn was removed from the e-file with that great sacrifice, and now the rook comes to the open e-file with decisive effect. After knight e4, only move, rook takes e4, king f6, queen takes d7. All Fischer has to do is secure his back rank in this position, and he can do so by playing queen g4, defending the square on d1. In this position, Celle resigned. Wow. What a tour de force by Fischer. Grabbed the initiative right from the opening. Celle misplayed the Evans Gambit by playing d6. He allowed the center to be open too quickly, and he was not able to secure his king. So this is a game really out of the Book of Morphy, where Fischer really prioritized central control, development, king safety. His opponent didn't do any of these things, okay? He was too materialistic, left his king in the center, and he paid the price. So this is a great game to review for all players, but especially beginners. Okay, this is really what you want to do in the opening, and this is how you punish poor opening play. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button and join Team MVP. You're not going to want to miss my next installment, which will be game number 51. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll see you next time. Bye.